Imagine unfolding your phone and, for the first time ever, not seeing that ugly crease down the middle. No dip, no weird reflections, just a perfectly smooth, seamless screen that still folds in half like magic. Samsung has just turned that fantasy into reality at CES 2026, and this breakthrough is coming to the Galaxy Z Fold 8 this July. But that's only part of the story. Samsung is launching 3 brand new foldable devices in 2026, and one of them is completely unlike anything they've ever released before. In this video, I'm breaking down everything we know so far about the Galaxy S26, Galaxy Z Fold 8, and Galaxy Z Flip 8. The pricing that will actually make you smile, the exact launch dates you should mark on your calendar, and why 2026 could finally be the year foldable phones go truly mainstream. Let's jump right in. Let's start with pricing, because this is where Samsung shocked everyone. A few weeks ago, leaks suggested Samsung was really struggling with Galaxy S26 pricing. Component costs are rising, flagship hardware is getting more expensive, and most people expected Samsung to push those extra costs straight onto customers. Some tipsters even claimed the Galaxy S26 series would be more expensive than the Galaxy S25 lineup. But according to Ice Universe, one of the most reliable Samsung leakers, Samsung has decided to keep Galaxy S26 prices exactly the same as the S25 series. No price hike at all, and it gets even better. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 and Galaxy Z Flip 8 are also expected to launch at the same prices as the Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7. So if you were worried that Samsung's next-gen flagships would wreck your budget, you can relax. Samsung is holding the line on pricing across the entire premium lineup. Now let's talk launch dates, because Samsung's strategy for 2026 is very deliberate. The Samsung Galaxy S26 series will officially launch on February 25th, 2026 in San Francisco. Retail sales will begin in early March, following Samsung's usual flagship timeline. But here's where things start to get really interesting. All 3 foldable phones, Galaxy Z Fold 8, Galaxy Z Flip 8, and that mystery third model, are planned to launch together in July 2026. No staggered release, no waiting months between devices. 3 foldables, 1 big launch window. That tells us Samsung isn't treating foldables like a niche experiment anymore. This is a full-on foldable lineup. So what exactly are these 3 foldables? We already know 2 of them. Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8, Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. The third device is where things get mysterious. Carrier database listings have revealed 3 separate model numbers for Samsung foldables this year. 2 match the expected fold and flip. The third doesn't match anything Samsung has released before. Leaks suggest this mystery device is a new wide fold model, a book-style foldable like the Z Fold, but with very different proportions. Instead of being tall and narrow like a TV remote, it's expected to be shorter and wider, more like a passport or a small tablet. That kind of design would be amazing for multitasking and split-screen apps typing on a more natural keyboard. Layout watching videos without huge black bars. And if that sounds familiar, it's because Apple's first foldable iPhone or iPad is rumored to use very similar proportions. Samsung clearly wants to get there first and set the standard for wide foldable phones before Apple even enters the market. Now, let's get into the crease breakthrough I mentioned at the start, because this is a huge deal for the future of foldable displays. At CES 2026, Samsung quietly showed 2 foldable phones side by side. One was a standard Z Fold with the usual visible crease we've all gotten used to. Next to it was another foldable that looked almost identical, except the inner screen was completely smooth. No line, no dip, no reflection change, no hint that the screen even folds. And this wasn't a dummy unit stuck behind glass. It was a working prototype. And according to multiple sources, this exact creaseless display technology is headed straight to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. Yes, the screen still physically bends. Physics still exists. But the crease is now so subtle that most people probably won't notice it unless they're actively searching for it. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Samsung is reportedly not keeping this breakthrough to themselves. They are said to be supplying the same core folding display technology to Apple for its first foldable device, The sizes and aspect ratios will differ, but the underlying crease-reducing panel tech will be shared. That tells us one thing. The crease problem that has haunted foldable phones from day one is effectively solved. But Samsung didn't stop at the display. The rumored hardware upgrades for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 almost sound too good to be true. The Z Fold 8 is expected to weigh around just 200 grams. To put that in perspective, that's barely heavier than a normal flagship smartphone. The iPhone 17 Pro, for example, is expected to weigh about 206 grams. So Samsung is about to sell a foldable phone with 2 displays, a hinge mechanism, and all the extra hardware that comes with it, and it will still weigh less than Apple's regular flagship, and somehow they're achieving that while reportedly increasing the battery capacity from 4400 mAh to roughly 5000 mAh, so you're looking at a lighter foldable, a bigger battery, 2 displays, and a redesigned hinge and panel. That's not a minor spec bump. That's a major generational leap. The Galaxy Z Flip 8 numbers are just as wild. Latest reports suggest the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 8 could weigh as little as 150 grams. That's almost 40 grams lighter than the current Flip. And if that figure is accurate, it would make the Z Flip 8 one of the lightest foldable phones ever made. The big question, of course, is battery life. We don't yet know how much battery capacity Samsung may have traded off to hit that ultra-low weight. But the fact that all 3 models have already appeared in US carrier databases is a very good sign. Historically, when Samsung devices start showing up in carrier systems, that means internal testing is complete and the phones are being prepped for real-world networks. That usually places a launch around 6 to 9 months away, which lines up perfectly with that July 2026 foldable release window. Let's switch gears to software for a moment, because that's another key part of Samsung's 2026 foldable strategy. Samsung is already deep into development on One UI 9 for its next-gen foldables. Tipster Tarun Vats has spotted early One UI 9 test builds for the Galaxy Z Fold 8, confirming that internal firmware for the new Fold is in active testing. The Galaxy S26 series will reportedly launch with One UI 8.5, but the foldables arriving later in the year are expected to debut with One UI 9 out of the box. That strongly suggests Samsung is working on major software improvements specifically tailored for foldable devices. Better multitasking, more intuitive app continuity between screens, improved taskbar behavior, and more polished large-screen experiences. Now let's talk cameras. Because the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 is about to close the gap between foldables and traditional flagships. Early leaks point to a serious camera upgrade for the Z Fold 8 bought a 200-megapixel main camera, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 12-megapixel telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom. That's full flagship-level camera hardware in a foldable phone. For years, foldables have forced users to choose between cutting-edge design and top-tier camera performance. With the Z Fold 8, Samsung clearly wants to eliminate that compromise and give you both. A true flagship camera system plus a crease-free foldable display. Here's why all of this matters far beyond just specs and buzzwords. Samsung is clearly getting ready for Apple's entry into the foldable market. By launching 3 different foldable form factors in 1 year, Samsung is trying to define the entire category before Apple even ships its first foldable. The timing is no accident. A July 2026 launch gives Samsung months of lead time to dominate. Headlines, get devices into people's hands, and normalize foldables as everyday phones before Apple's rumored foldable arrives.